Angels are telling the glory of God, and all creation is shouting for joy. Come dance in the forest.
Welcome back to Early Morning Catechism. It is now the month of October, and in the month of October we can't help but think of that great feast of St. Francis of Assisi. Our topic, as we continue the theme of faith, our topic for today is faith leads to joy. And what greater saint to talk about when we talk about joy than St. Francis of Assisi? St. Francis was born in Italy in 1181. He was the son of a cloth merchant, and he had all the possibility of becoming a good, profitable, middle-class merchant when he grew up. His father was becoming more and more successful. He had dreams for his son. Francis had another dream, and that was to become a soldier, to become a knight, to be the attraction of all the women, and to do heroic deeds. Well, he went off to be a soldier, and he was not well. He was injured. He was sent home to recuperate. And during that time, he wondered, what will I do with the rest of my life? He went to a place one day, the chapel of San Damiano, and he was praying there. And from the cross, he heard Jesus say, "Rebuild my church." And Francis looked at the condition of the church, and he thought it needed some rebuilding. So he went, and he got a wheelbarrow and stones and some people to help him, and he started putting the church back together. And he realized a little bit later, this is not what Jesus meant when he said, "Francis, rebuild my church." He was wondering what that meant. He was wondering what to do with his life. And one day he took the scriptures and prayed and opened the Bible. And he opened to Matthew chapter 10. In which Jesus is giving instructions to his disciples, the 12. And he says to them that they are to go out to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. They are to proclaim that the kingdom of God is at hand. And then Jesus says, "Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, drive out demons. Without cost you have received, without cost you are to give. Do not take gold or silver or copper for your belts, no sack for the journey or a second tunic or sandals or walking stick." And then he tells them that wherever they go, they are to enter the house and wish it peace. Francis puts the Bible down and he says, "This is what I want. This is what I want with all my heart." And dear Francis is filled with joy, as you can see here. He is just happy to not be concerned about wealth or possessions or pleasure or honor, but just to do the work of proclaiming the kingdom of God, and to do it by practicing what Jesus did, by imitating Jesus as closely as he could. In other words, by living a life of poverty. His father was very upset with him, and his father and he had a parting of ways. There are so many things I could tell you about St. Francis, but his faith became known as faith, particularly in Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And so if you want a bigger term for that, His faith was based on an incarnational spirituality. One of the things we want to remember about Francis is that he reproduced the life of Jesus by developing the first nativity scene in front of a church one Christmas Eve. He also had a great devotion to Jesus crucified, and at the end of his life he was gifted with the stigmata, the wounds of Jesus in his hands, feet, and side. And toward the end of his life, he began to see, well, throughout his life, he saw in a developmental way the presence, the real presence of Jesus in all creatures and in the lowest of human beings, those who were poor and marginalized. And so he wrote what we know as the Canticle of the Creatures. And so we might ask ourselves, what gives us joy? What makes us happy? Are we happy just to follow Jesus and to imitate him?